I use she, her pronouns. I'm the communications director for Action Together NEPA, and today is Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. We are here today in beautiful downtown West Pittston to show the world that Northeast PA is not welcoming JD Vance with open arms. He may be here in town to celebrate a big, ugly bill that cuts millions and millions of people off their health care, that makes it harder for families to put food on their tables, that ups the ICE budget to $160 billion so they can take even more people and kidnap them off the streets. We don't think that that's a thing that needs to be celebrated. And lots of people showed up today to say that. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. I don't think this legislation is beautiful. I don't think anything that this administration is doing is beautiful. And I think the other thing is that we know that Vance was, also here to give a big pat on the back to folks like Congressman Rob Bresnahan, guessing Congressman Dan Muser, who happens to be my representative, for falling in line and voting to kick millions of people off their health care, and again, just fund an operation to kidnap more people off the streets. Rob Bresnahan promised over and over again he wasn't going to cut Medicaid, voted to do it 5 times, fell in line with the Trump administration, with his billionaire buddies, and we're just going to keep calling that out. We're going to keep calling that out every single day if we have to. These things impact real families here in NEPA. These things impact working people. They impact our seniors who are in nursing homes or in their own homes trying to make it. These policies are going to disproportionately impact children, disproportionately impact disabled folks, and we're just not going to stand for that. We're just going to keep fighting, and we're grateful for all of the organizations and all of the people who showed up today to do the same thing.
We're the DSA. We're here with our friends at Action Together, NEPA. We're working with them in a coalition for our Ice Watch activities. It was kind of last second thing. JD Vance came down here. We can't have billionaires within our society. Republicans like to claim about that welfare queens and different people on welfare programs are sucking us dry as far as like taking our funding and taxes away. But the premier welfare class is the billionaires. If you just think about how much tax money they get as far as the government, how they support their programs and businesses. But if you come down to it, just the amount of profit that they take from your surplus labor value that we supply as workers, that's effectively like a tax, right? When are we going to get that money back? It's important for us to have reforms and increase the minimum wage, but it's also important for us to have a revolution to cement those activities. These are kind of difficult concepts for people to understand, at least under Trump, now the mask is fully off, and people are more aware of the contradictions in front of them. A lot of this ICE activity that's going to be coming here in the United States is a boomerang effect. So the things that we've been doing overseas for the last 60, 70 years is now coming to our shores and going to be impacting our neighbors. So we need to stick together with everybody and work together with everyone that's on our side. Action Together is one of those people. We're interviewing local community members and see how they feel about Pence and Rob Bresnahan being here in our area.
Hi, I'm Mari, and I am beyond disgusted that you are a person who graduated with a Jesuit education from the University of Scranton, and it's fine for you to say no to starving children, the elderly in nursing homes, people who depend on rural hospitals, being okay with defunding the Department of Education, firing State Department officials who help keep the peace in the world. You are a disgrace. You have no backbone. You are doing this, obviously, to fund your portfolio, which when you ran for Congress, you thought it was such a terrible thing and that people in Congress should not be able to buy stocks. Well, obviously, things have changed for you, Rob, and I can't wait for the next election because you will be out.
So what are some things we can do in the meantime between elections that maybe can stop Rob and put some pressure on him to change, or make it more difficult for him to operate?
We need to keep speaking the truth. We need to make phone calls. We need to be out here rallying so people know that you do not have a mandate. That is ridiculous. And we have to stop the gerrymandering that is taking place, especially now in Texas, because they see the tide is turning down there. And it's terrible, disgusting to think that the officials in Texas were given money by the Biden administration to take care of the flooding issues, but they used it to give raises to law enforcement. And now we have hundreds of people dead because of that.
It's disgusting. Thank you.
My name's Alan Frank. I'm here protesting Vance and Trump. They're brutes. They're vulgar. They're taking the poor people's money and giving it to the rich. All you poor people, he's taking your money and giving it to the rich. And he's deporting all our great Hispanic workers. And they're wonderful people. And that's all I got to say.
Are there different things you wish you maybe have voted on better? Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I know you hated our migrant community, but I didn't know it was that racist of you.
Hello, my name is Wayne Heisler. I'm with the Pennsylvania Policy Center and Pennsylvanians Together. We're here today because we're getting a visit from Vice President JD Vance, who's here to give a pat on the back to Rob Bresnahan and all the other Republicans in Congress who voted to take health care away from millions of people and food off the tables of everyday families just so that they can do the largest transfer in history of wealth from everyone else to the ultra rich. If you look at every single conservative county in the state of Pennsylvania, it's overwhelming that over 70% of everyone in those counties believes that we should not be sending tax dollars to the ultra wealthy. They don't need that money. There were promises that were made during the last election to make sure that we took care of our families, that we took care of working people, and they did none of that. They are directing all that money to the ultra rich and to the top people and greedy corporations. And we're here to say no more. Hands off Medicaid and hands off SNAP. Let's not feed these fat cats like Mr. Riggs over here. We should take care of each other.
Local communities are going to see like lots of impacts that go well beyond folks who are directly on Medicaid or SNAP. I mean, our primary concern in this moment is how all of those folks are going to be impacted. But those impacts have massive ripple effects. And sometimes what those ripple effects are going to mean is that nursing homes are going to close. Rural hospitals are going to close. The hospitals in some of our urban areas, which are already struggling and are always close to being closed, are going to keep cutting services until they're basically shut down. You're going to see in an area where there's already lots of food insecurity, you're going to see it just being harder and harder for people to buy food, prices continuing to go up, and any small independent grocery stores are really going to be in trouble too, because those are businesses that operate on really small margins, and the ripple effects beyond folks who tragically will lose their Medicaid, lose the SNAP funds that help them feed their families. It's going to impact so many aspects of our community. And that means it impacts everyone. You know, if we can't convince people to have compassion for folks who are directly going to lose the access to the care that they need, then I hope we can convince people that like these cuts are bad for all of us. They're bad for our whole communities. It's bad for so many aspects of our local economies. And, you know, it's Medicaid, it's the loss of SNAP funds, it is the mass deportation effort that is, you know, just ripping people out of their communities. All of those things have massive ripple effects and are going to have huge consequences for real people in real communities. It's like the best part of doing this kind of work, is seeing people show up for the things that they care about, seeing people show up for their friends, their families, their neighbors, their communities. That is a beautiful thing. Like, that is the one thing about anything that's happening that is beautiful. That's what gives me the energy to like keep going and standing out here after 4 hours in 90-degree heat. You know, that is what this country is supposed to be about, is people, you know, standing up and speaking out for what they believe is right and wrong. And they're calling out what's wrong right now. And that's the kind of thing that helps me get up every day and do this kind of work. So I'm so grateful for the many, many people, and I have no actual concept of the turnout from today, but it makes me really grateful for all of those people and all of the organizations who showed up. I think the only other thing that I'll add is, like, I think it's also really important. We try to keep these things fun. You know, we can talk to our communities about really important, really serious, often really scary things. And we can do that and still show up and have fun and laugh and be joyful, because that is a really powerful weapon. When the forces of the Trump administration and the billionaire class want to keep us down. They want us to give up. They want us to be sad and despondent and not feel any hope. So the fact that we were able to do this today in this, you know, sweltering heat, talking about really serious things, but laughing and having fun and having music and having games and poetry, that's a beautiful thing. So I think, you know, we have to keep spreading that joy. That is a strategic choice. And that's how we're going to stay in the fight for the long haul.